Who in their right mind would start their adult career built around selling 3D pictures in little discs with cheap plastic viewers? I didn't plan it that way, but 52 years later, I really don't have a lot of regrets. Matter of fact, it's been a lot of fun. I met a lot of wonderful people, had a lot of wonderful experiences over that period. On July 1947, July 4th, 1947, Sawyers gave me a bright new, beautiful new Studebaker Champion and a shoebox full of account cards. My first call would be in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. I would work my way down to Key West, Florida, and back through the southern states and get back to Portland in time for Christmas. Well, that was my first experience. The products at that time were the Viewmaster single reels in various types of envelopes, and then they changed to a three-reel card in a two-color version in various styles, and they gradually worked up to the to a four-color version. The products, the Viewmaster Viewer was our the first Model B was one of our products, and the later model. At that time, when I got back from my first trip, we had our first sales meeting, and this was the international sales meeting, which included the Canadian salesman and the several salesmen that we had at that time. The emphasis was in advertising, and the product was very popular, so a lot of the stores did some very extensive and very expensive color advertising. This happens to be one from the Schuster Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, one of my accounts, and I look at their account card and I find that they sold in 1951 5,616 Viewmaster viewers and 71,686 of the Viewmaster reels. There were quite a few other stores did advertising of this type, and this happens to be Famous Bar in St. Louis and Kaufman's in Pittsburgh. This is Burdine's in Florida. And to go along with the advertising, there was heavy emphasis on getting displays into the stores, and these are some of the installations that we had at that time. Sales began to fall off. The product lost its popularity, and the Sawyers company would make some changes. Yes, sales had been going down, and the board of directors of Sawyers decided that they would bring in Bob Brost, who was the manager at the time of the Sawyers Chicago warehouse. His background was the Three Dimension Company, and prior to then the famous Keystone View Company. So he had a good knowledge of 3D, and he loved Viewmaster. So at the time, the three-reel packets were printed in this design with the famous Sawyers blue label. But the problem was there was very little protection, and the packets were easily damaged. So one of the things that Bob Brost did was to investigate the new packaging technique called shrink wrap, where the packages would be wrapped in plastic. This in turn meant better shelf life at the dealers, less damage, and the dealers then would be encouraged to carry a bigger variety, so the whole thing expanded. And at the same time, experimenting in some very interesting new ideas. One of the most novel was the three-reel sets, Nations of the World, which included the stamp and coin, flag, and the story folder about the country. And this was one of the display banners that we had, and the pictures were edited by Lowell Thomas, so lending his name added much prestige to the package. It was very, very popular. At the same time, the viewer models were changing from the old Bakelite black Model B Viewmaster viewer. They moved to what was called the Model D, which was a focusing viewer as a companion for the Viewmaster personal stereo camera at the time. Greater magnification, and even today it's one of the finest 3D viewers ever made. Another model was the Model E, which is molded in brown bakelite, and then a lighted model called the Model F, also in brown bakelite. At that time, they shifted from the compression molding using bakelite plastic to the injection molding, and the first viewer of that period was the Model G viewer, and that remained one of the most widely promoted viewers for many, many years. We also brought out a lighted model viewer of injection molded plastic, and this is the ugly Model H viewer. We also put the Viewmaster reels and viewers and so forth into all different types of packaging, gift boxes, the theater with the projectors, and different things of that type. Mentioned the dealers were encouraged to display more, and so we got a lot of floor space and display space in stores, and the net result was that the Viewmaster sales under Bob Brost's leadership increased dramatically from the low point in the 1959 up to a substantial increases by 1966. During this period, the negotiations were underway for the company to be purchased by the GAF Corporation, and my own life was consisted of a sales territory in Northern California, living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then moved up to Portland and spent 7 years there in advertising, sales, promotion, and in the sales department in general. So the next phase would be going with into the corporate world. So we're now part of the giant corporate structure of GAF, and it's quite a difference between the small Sawyer's company and a large corporation. They have lots of money to spend. They have a gigantic ad budget. They are in the photo business. They're getting into the film business, and they want to sell film, cameras, and photo products. And the Viewmaster factory in Portland was making the line of Sawyer's slide projectors, movie projectors. So it was a natural fit, and Viewmaster just kind of came along. They didn't really want it, but it was part of the package. And when they found out how profitable it was, they were very, very happy. Result was that they allowed us to expand the sales force tremendously, and to expand products and packaging and promotions and everything. It had a gigantic budget. The first thing they did was to change the logo to put the GAF logo prominent at the top of the package, so that wherever Viewmaster packets were displayed, the GAF logo would be the first thing that you would see. And they allowed our department to expand in subject matter substantially. A big variety of foreign subjects. There's Papua New Guinea, Jakarta, Havana and Cuba, Taiwan, Thailand, Argentina, Buenos Aires, and on and on and on. Reissued a lot of old 3D material from the historical files, and every new subject that came along. At one time, I believe we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 titles in the list, which is substantial. The catalogs of that period, the very deluxe catalog, and they're featuring the G viewer, but they changed it from the brown to the very bright red and white, and added a talking Viewmaster viewer to the line. The quality was pretty terrible, but it was an expansion of the line, and they went into gift sets in the canister style, which were very, very attractive and very, very colorful. So it's a lot to be said for the activity during that period. And it's every year a nice, bright new catalog was brought out. And in 1976, a special presentation set for the 1976 the centennial with a canister gift set, and of course a series of 3-reel cards celebrating America's 200th year birthday. Then they brought out the new Model L Viewmaster viewer, which is still the model that is being used in the line today. The classic Model L Viewmaster viewer, which I think is one of the most attractive viewers that we've ever designed, and it just keeps going and going and going. And there again, it was brought out in a variety of different types of packaging, in the canister gift sets and other different type of promotional packages. And again, the nice new catalogs, and kept going, promoting along the lines for all of this period. And during this period, I was a regional manager for the 11 western states, and I had 7 salesmen working with me. And the ad budget, as I originally mentioned, was pretty substantial, and so there's a lot of advertising done. There's also a lot of promotion done at our own level. This was it was a lot of fun to work up promotions like this. For example, the Payless Drugstore, to bring in a Mickey Mouse character and offer free photos with Mickey Mouse, and promote the film and promote the Viewmaster viewer here at 99 cents, and special closeout on reels, plus all of the other GAF photo products. And at the same time, again, displays, massive displays were all part of the mix. Well, all of a sudden, this came to an end. Dr. Jesse Werner and GAF found out that they could not compete in the film business against Eastman Kodak. And that was their big game from the very beginning. So with film losing money somewhere in the neighborhood of $92 million over that period, the hard goods, cameras, and so forth were just accessories to the film business, and they abruptly decided to cancel the consumer photo business, and everything was shut down. We then entered another phase. The Viewmaster business was put up for sale and was taken over by another company. Okay, the GAF corporate era is over, and the company is sold to Arnold Thaler and Jerry Noodleman, and it's renamed Viewmaster International. And basically they're just taking over the Viewmaster assets of the old GAF facility in Portland. They immediately look at the packaging line, and as soon as they possibly can, they get into this new 3-reel card style. To begin with, they just take the old 3-reel packets and staple them to a card, but later on they get into this very nice trim-looking blister pack. And they bring out hundreds and hundreds of titles. Anything that is good in the children's world, they bring out. And at the same time, they establish a line of new displays to go with these cards. From a merchandising point of view, they are. It was a excellent decision because you get much more exposure in the stores, and the package looks new. The titles are all brand new, and they have a good advertising program to go along with it. So they are off on the right foot. They follow up shortly with a change in the packaging in the gift boxes from the expensive canister style to a new window style. Again, a very effective move in merchandising. They very quickly bring out a new talking ViewMaster viewer. Strangely enough, the design of this electronic talking ViewMaster viewer was done by the son of Arnold Thaler, who worked at GAF and who had put Mr. Thaler into touch with the GAF changeover. This is the second version of Talking ViewMaster, and while it's technically very good, merchandising-wise, sales-wise, it is a disappointment. The package or the catalogs that they put out each year are always attractive, very, very professional looking. And we come to 1987, and you see that there is a new ViewMaster viewer available. This is the new M viewer, and the idea is that this is the era of high tech, and they wanted this viewer to look high tech, and so that you could see the operation through the clear window in the back. The viewer is no better than the L viewer. In fact, it's probably not quite as good, and it doesn't last too long. They add a blue viewer to the mix, so we have a red and a blue model L viewer and complementary packaging. Then all of a sudden in 1989 we become ViewMaster Ideal. ViewMaster, the international group, acquires the Ideal Toy Company and all of their line of dolls and playthings, and ViewMaster is added to that. The problem being that they have spent too much money, they've expanded too fast, and now they're in financial trouble, and there will be additional changes further down the line. Very quickly they are bought by the Tyco Toy Company, and then ViewMaster is part of the Tyco line for several years. Then it becomes the Mattel and the Mattel and Fisher-Price line. But in the meantime, in 1984, about halfway through the ViewMaster International Ideal period, they decide that they do not want to maintain a big library of scenic subjects as GAF did. And I was the only personnel around that was connected with the scenic customer, so they offered me a job as a manufacturer's rep. To calling on the accounts, and I would set up a distributor, and they would manufacture the merchandise to order, and would not have to maintain the inventory. Now, to make a long story short, that is what I have been doing since 1984, and if I had known what I know now, I would have done things a lot differently and been a lot more aggressive, because it was a great opportunity, and I just I didn't capitalize enough on it. So in this next segment, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what that job amounted to. In 1984, when it was the ViewMaster Ideal Company, and I mentioned earlier that they had decided that they wanted to drop the scenic line in terms of keeping it in open stock at all times. So they gave me the opportunity to become a manufacturer's rep, which would mean I would go on commission instead of salary, and I would take over all of the scenic accounts in the United States. And in 1984, A lot of them had been pretty well run down because GAF had lost interest and they hadn't been called on a lot of times. So I started out making 6 and 7, 8-week trips back east, up and down the coast, and all over the country to reactivate a lot of these scenic accounts. They made up special scenic packaging for me and made it very easy to convert some of the old 3-reel packets into this new, very attractive blister package, and then the companion souvenir set, which is of course the viewer and the 3-reel card. And they made a very nice catalog page for me so that I could do mailings to the various scenic customers across the country. And over the years, I was able to reactivate and keep alive a lot of the major scenic customers during that period. And I worked through distributors. In the early days, it was a company called Panorama. Later on, it was the Finley Holiday Company, and that is when the Fisher-Price, Mattel Fisher-Price arrangement came into being. At that time, we appointed Finley Holiday as the scenic distributor for all of the scenic subjects. With the advent of the Fisher-Price and the Finley Holiday arrangement, they decided to change and update all of the packaging, and so they changed all of the scenic subjects to this new and very, very attractive format. And as a companion to the 3-reel cards, they also redesigned the souvenir set so that it would be complementary to the package art. And at the same time, Finley Holiday brought out an attractive new brochure showing the displays that we had to offer. And we had worked up a mailing program called the ViewMaster Newsreel that we sent to all of our scenic customers to give them ideas of how to market and display the ViewMaster products. So during that same period, we were working with the SeaWorld people. Have been working with them for quite a number of years, and they designed their own package art to work around the Blue ViewMaster viewer and their own individual park subjects. So they've been a very, very, very successful ViewMaster customer for us.
This is some of the examples of the photography, 3D photography that I've done over the years. This group happens to be some of the zoos that I photographed, and we move to this grouping. And these are what called the generic titles. That's a provision whereby a scenic account can run their subject with their title on there without going to the expense of a full-fledged 3-reel 4-color job. And the next group over there consists of some of the various Six Flags Magic Mountain subjects, and you see Graceland over there, and then Knott's Berry Farm, and then of course the souvenir sets. Here's another group that I was able to photograph in 3D, and there's a grouping there from the Florida and the Great Smokies and Monticello and the Oregon Coast Aquarium, Portland. There's the Air Force Museum in Mount St. Helens, and the Biltmore House, the Spruce Goose, Queen Mary Spruce Goose. I got to sit in the cockpit of the Spruce Goose next to the figure of Howard Hughes, and Statue of Liberty, which I enjoyed, the old Marineland, and then back to the Missions of California. There's Canyon de Chelly, there's Mount St. Helens, and Seattle. Okay, here's another series of scenic ViewMaster subjects. Most of the photography I did in Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, but not all of it. And the other views are Mount Vernon and the Grand Tetons, Bryce, and so on, and the same is true there. And this group is the Universal Studios. All of the photography in those series is mine. That's Universal Studios in Hollywood and in Florida, and represents the several changes over the years. The next group is the SeaWorld group, and there you see their change in logo and package design over the fast the various several years.
Well, that gives you a pretty good idea of what I've been doing for the past 15 years. And as I mentioned earlier, it's been a lot of fun, and had an opportunity to get to a lot of places and be a little bit on the creative side. The cameras that I used over the years, I first started out using the Stereo Realist, which is a wonderful camera. The only problem is that the vertical format requires quite a bit of cropping, and under the new Fisher-Price ViewMaster template cropping system, it even crops it even further. The Bush Varoscope, this is just like a Sherman tank. It just made of cast iron almost, and it's a wonderful camera, extremely sharp lenses. And there again, the cropping means that you lose quite a bit of the film, actual film area, but still a wonderful camera. My all-time favorite is my pair of Konicas, and I have a set of wide-angle normal and 135 telephoto lenses, and I also have extenders which doubles the length of each. They've just, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of rolls of films have gone through these cameras, and they've just worked beautifully, and excellent, good sharpness in the lens, and good, reliable cameras. So I hope I've given you a little insight as to what it's been like for a 52-year veteran of the 3D battles. And been a pleasure talking with you. I hope you enjoyed the subject matter, and have enjoyed working with you.